Right now, there doesn't have to be a lot of campaigning, G, because we're so busy with the distractions that they've given us. You
Hmm.
know, these
And now,
and trust me,
perfect
these
segue.
distractions are good because I'm plugged in too. I am all
I
the
was
way
just
to.
about to say, is
I'm
this
all
Drake
the way to.
Kendrick Lamar?
Oh man,
Is this just a big distraction? Unless
no,
they actually investigate
no,
some of the things that Kendrick Lamar is saying, I
yes,
feel like it is.
yeah, okay, okay. So great point, great point. That's a good point. I think. Gee, listen, I mean that's a really good point, and I think the timing of it is interesting. Um, but I also think outside of plugging it into that, you got to remember these two have been sharing their feelings about each other for a long time. Maybe a little less directly, um, but also, G, because I know what you're thinking and what you may want to say there. If we do believe it was written already, then there is a way to make
So
sure that
they're
these
both under Universal.
timelines, yeah, then there's a way to make sure that these timelines actually sync up at the right time. So I mean, there is some of that too, you know. Um, I mean, both of these guys are actually already playing numerology with their in geometria with their releases. You know, down to the timestamps, down to why the date and the time that something was released. There's at least 6 to 10 different reasons for each of this, and that's just from their own strategy. But as we know, strategy can tie into what's actually real throughout geometry, gematria and numerology, just on a more grande sense versus the micro sense of just a rap beef. You see what I'm saying? So all of those timelines, I think, are come.
616 in LA and dropping
Yeah,
the one at 824 for
8-4.
Kobe.
Yep,
Um, yeah,
yep, yep, and then all the other dates that because the dates were significant to different holiday not holidays, but like one was World's Children's Day, you know, while Kendrick was going back at Drake, and Drake's got all the allegations right now, and you know, one meant something else.
definitely seems like theater in a lot of ways.
It certainly does. But gee, with that being said, some of this stuff can't be ignored. Okay, one thing
But
that one
okay, it can't be ignored by who? Your people like us might look more into it. Honestly haven't because I until they actually
I
start to
know.
investigate
I
him,
know.
I
It's
don't
the same.
believe
It's
that
the
it's
same
real.
thing with. It's the same thing with Diddy. All that hoopla was made about Diddy. Diddy won't even see a court date. People.
Right.
Okay, I'm here to tell you right now. This ain't something you got to even look up. Just pay attention. Diddy won't see a court date. Diddy ain't going to jail. And nothing. No investigation will be open on this stuff. I mean, you're saying it, G. This is true, but I will say where I go with it is not about that. Where I go with it is it is people's a lot of people's polar question is the polarizing stuff even really happening? And my thing is one thing that our community knows to do and have always learned and understood is symbolism will be the downfall, right? Um, there's been a lot of symbolism in a lot of this stuff that will sort of lead you toward, hey, is some of this what's going on or not? You know, there's too much around what I've seen from certain people that's in this rap beef that I'm like, regardless of if everything Kendrick is saying is landing or not, you can't deny some of what's being seen. You can't deny it all.
Absol has been relatively quiet, but his one tweet was something is definitely afoot.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Something
So
is definitely afoot.
so distraction or not,
Something's
does it?
definitely afoot.
Yeah, like, okay, yeah, they're distracting us, but you can distract us and
There's
still
a
literally
reason
be
why they're
in
distracted. Yeah,
and be in plain sight the whole time. You
right.
know, I mean, that's the some stuff. G, they know is so polarizing. Go ahead and tell them who's going to believe it, except the people that think that the world is up, that the world is flat anyway. So go ahead and let them know it's fine. It doesn't bother us. Let them know. Matter of fact, it may work in our favor because they will be in what's the term I'm looking
Ridiculed
for?
and
G, no, desensitized. They'll be so desensitized from it, the term won't have the same impact in 10 years anymore. And I
right.
already start to see that happening with the P word stuff. And people, it's so funny. People on Twitter now call it PDF file. PDF file, like Adobe
Mhm.
PDF, because it is a weird word to even say, but to say it, they're just saying PDF file. It's crazy. Um, but yeah, I mean, and I already kind of see the impact of it. It's polarizing right now, but I can already.
So you said they're normalizing the PDF files?
Yeah, well, for the first step is you gotta, you know how it works, G. Psychologically, you gotta get people. You got to desensitize people from the topic first and foremost. That's where you start with
So, this is an interesting topic, though. I don't
stuff
yes,
happening in real time
they
too.
yeah, they the whole, like, giving it they move the goalpost type thing.
Yeah.
I just don't see it working with this one. I think it's gonna I think it's gonna unite. I think if there's a disgusting topic, disgusting enough to unite the truthers and the non-truthers and all the other
Hmm.
people, it might be this one. I don't think they can get away with normalizing it.
Well, I hope not. But then again, I never thought that I would be arguing about pronouns and men who think they women and women who think they men. But we're here. It
Yeah.
takes, gee, here my thinking to it has always been the gays are good now. Like
Yeah.
it took a long time, but they're good
Yeah.
now.
Right.
Eventually you got to find somebody else to move in there to crucify. So right now the trannies are being crucified, right? Eventually trannies will be accepted too. It is, it'll take some time, but my point in making these comments are, um, what's next when that thing isn't as polarizing anymore? You see what I'm saying? And we
I just
kind of,
don't see how they can be so I think there's something inside of us. Like, don't get me wrong, I think
yeah,
there is
but
a
gee,
there is a
they've
difference
already got them
between
labeled though. They've
there's a
already
difference
started with.
between 30 some year olds and 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 year 14-year olds. But then when you're talking like a 19 and a 17,
No,
I
I mean,
mean, I
I
think there is a conversation that can be had about that.
no, no, no. I do too, and I'm not talking about the stuff that people just be trying to be moral police about. Like, get out of here with some of this
Right.
shit. I'm talking about the real deal. I'm talking about, matter of fact, I'm talking about what we know is really
The
happening.
human trafficking.
Yes, yes, I'm talking about that. Okay, so all I'm saying is that I already see it. I you they've made acronyms for the people
The
already.
minor attracted people.
Yeah. What are we talking about? I'm not saying anything that ain't gonna come to fruition, G. I'm telling you, this is
I
how
think
it
there's
works.
gonna be more resistance to this than there
G,
was to either of
I,
the
I'm sure.
last few.
I'm
Yeah.
sure. And guess what, G? There's going to be a few people that get sacrificed. There's going to be a few people that have to write their testimony about how, they were the ones who were the front at the frontier and how bad it was years ago and look how far we've come now. This is just it's hit this is what every group goes through. And I hate to be the one that's saying it, but what you want what you want me to do when I look around?
I do think there's gonna be more of a public backlash if as they continue moving the goalposts and as they
Mhm.
continue to try to desensitize and normalize
Mhm.
PDF files. uh,
It actually I do
I
feel
think
more
there's gonna
comfortable
be more
saying that.
public I think there's gonna be more public backlash than there was to, the normalization of, homosexuality or gay people, or the
I'm just telling you what
trans
I've
movement.
seen. All I can tell you is how I see and how things have gone through history, you know. So I'm just saying
Yeah, but the other 2 don't involve kids, or and when they do, that's when it gets the most backlash.
now do we need to start talking about why a lot of those things even breed into a lot of what they end up breeding into? I mean, there's a lot of people want to talk about science all the time. There's a lot of science and psychology and studies and research done around why there's a lot of confusion about gender norms and these sort of things to begin with. And where do you this stuff doesn't typically just start later? I mean, it can. I'm not saying it doesn't. Listen, I'm whatever. I'm just saying there's a lot of research and the stuff around how this even usually begins. Look, I hope not, G. All I can do is observe. I talk about what I observe and see, and that's certainly something that, I mean, having a conversation with some of the folks that are around my father's age, you can just imagine, they've seen they see things now that they never thought that they would have seen however long ago. It wasn't even like a thought, and that goes with a lot of other things too, I feel. So I hope not, but I mean, somebody new has to eventually come along and be the mortar and be the new thing, you know. Once the other thing isn't working anymore because everyone's okay with it now, well, we got to use something else.
The new
So
Caitlyn Jenner.
yeah, yeah.
Right.
So, but anyway, I just when we jump back on, G, I was saying that it's funny how this stuff, there was so much to catch up with. I was trying to do the timeline, from the Cat Williams to the bridge thing. I mean, this bridge thing at this point, I mean, first of all, it's not even being talked about anymore because
Same as the Boeing murder. Like just
yes,
straight up a murder.
like
That
hey, we
wasn't
just
even
gonna
like
let's just knock a bridge down and I mean,
this guy's talking too much about our engineering. Just disappear him. Wow.
and gee, the thing about the bridge before we jump into this other stuff is it's like, first of all, I still can't get over these wildfires that was happening. I'm still stuck on, are you kidding me with this? Like, I just remember some of the trips I was taking out there, and I'm like, the things that I was thinking in my head at the time, like how no one has ever seen smoke settle before, with all these other wildfires we've had throughout history. And the most recent one was that really set me off was, where was I going? I was going to Richmond. And this was far past all the fires, I guess. And I think I might have talked to you about it. I definitely was talking to my girl about it. I was like, yo, what is are you kidding me? Like, what is happening out here? And how the smoke index, when they kept talking about the different the air quality thing. And I had always talked to you, G, about a lot of the stuff that I had stumbled upon that was saying, part of getting us used to the face mask, and then eventually the glasses. Obviously Apple's coming out with the Vision One. Eventually there's going to be so much of all of this, they're going to find a way to bring it all together and sell it to you in the package deal of, try this new awesome helmet that not only purifies your air through this nasty air quality you're breathing in, you also have your glasses built in it too. So you can just wear this thing that takes care of everything for you. And now we're living in literally a matrix within a matrix. You know what I'm saying?
That's what my entire last episode was about. You should check it.
Will
Metaverse.
do. And of course you've talked about that because this is how we operate. Even when I'm not on here talking, I know what's up. Even when I'm maybe not reaching out to you, G, about something, it's because sometimes I generally do get so exhausted with like ranting or what I'm seeing that I just whatever, man. But um these are the things that just it just gradually gets more. Now I understand. Hopefully, the cause and effect to all of that is, the more this way they go, the more people start to kind of awaken through a lot of this stuff.
It is happening. It's just when we are where we are, we have to look at it and say, how is it not happening faster? How is it
Yeah,
not?
that's a good one.
How is not?
Mm.
How are we feeling like we're ahead of the curve? Like we should just we're not that smart. We should just be average fucking people, man. Like there should be people out here way smarter. Like there, and there, don't get me wrong. There's a few amazing individuals out here that
Oh
are
yeah.
doing the work.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I
But
applaud
they
you. I applaud them because
but
they're on the job
how do they
round the
feel?
clock.
How do they feel? They've got to
Let me
feel like,
let me tell you how they feel.
how
They
is
feel
nobody seeing what I'm
right.
seeing?
They have to feel like there is an abundance of work, recession proof. Being a truther is recession proof in the sense of there's always something to talk about because they're always up to something, or there's just always something. There's always something
There's
that's
always
ingratiating
lies that the
itself.
masses are believing,
Yeah,
and they're
yeah,
just taking it.
yeah,
What do they call it? Bait, hook, and sinker, or whatever.
yeah,
Just
yeah. Absolutely.
from one thing to the other. Ocean Gate and bridge
Yeah,
collapse, and
yeah,
I mean all of it,
yeah.
all of it. The
Oh man,
shootings.
the
The
symbol that was on the boat and how the predictive programming from the Obama movie had. Gee, what's the name of the movie so that people can know what I'm even talking about? I know they know what I'm
Leave the
talking
world behind.
about. Leave the world behind. I don't know why I can't ever. I just always call it the Obama movie. I call it the Obama movie because I don't think a lot of people know that the Obamas were behind that movie,
Right.
executive producers. You know, again, sometimes I feel like things should just already be known, but you realize that that's not necessarily the case. And one of the things that we do on our platform is talking about this stuff is we should be informing too. So I try to be aware of that as well and stop assuming that everyone just knows. But yes, so they were behind that. And I always, and gee, I think I even asked you, we didn't do it on a pod or anything. I certainly have asked a lot of people this. I don't know what more you people need. I don't know what more people need. I mean, first of all, there's already enough, but for something that
Blatant.
blatant to be put in your face and knowing the people that are behind it, what do you think they're just making that movie for fun? Because
That's
I don't
that you'll hear that though. That will seriously be, well, maybe they're exploring artistic avenues. They're done with the political blah, blah, blah. You'll hear that. You'll seriously hear that.
but see that is the stuff that I think
That's Stockholm syndrome.
it unjuices my battery and eventually I get down to the red and then I gotta be plugged in again, I guess, G. I guess because that stuff is just some of it. Listen, I understand some things you gotta dig, you gotta peel. Some things even I'm like, yo, I'm not going down there because um I always use the expression, I don't need to see a recording of myself being slapped in the face to know that I just got slapped in the face. I just got slapped in the face. Why do I need to see a recording of that? I know it happened. Okay. No different than a lot of this stuff. I don't need to know every single detail or be correct on every single detail about that particular thing for the fact that that particular thing still exists, though. It still is a thing. It's up to you to run down as far as the rabbit hole as you want to attach to it. But, but for it to just be for folks to just pretend like it's nothing to it, I just don't know what to say about that. Nobody makes that kind of. And by the way, let me preference me talking about that movie by saying it was a hell of a movie. I do got to give it on the camera, the cinematography of it, the writing of it, the I mean, obviously Julia Roberts is in it, so I mean,
The acting, yeah.
great acting. Yeah, I mean, it was a hell of a movie. But after we get over that, okay, let's now focus on what we're being shown and told here because there was a lot of symbolism, there was a lot of messaging in it. I thought it was interesting that the boat scene happened, the airplane scene happened, the Tesla stuff, which has already been so many stories even
Hmm.
in publications about people that have come forward about things, and then their Tesla locks them in. And what was that? That congressman or senator person that just died on their own property. The Tesla just drove itself into their pond, and they couldn't get out. I mean, people. There have been so many instances of movies, not just movies, but writings about these cars. When you give these things that kind of power, anybody can hack into it and just control it.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
so I, again, why does it all? Why you always got to go there with everything? Listen, what I'm sorry that the Tesla killed the person that was the what was it? G? She was the God. I wish Kenny was
She
on here
was
right now.
some
She was,
sort of state senator or something.
but she specifically had signed. She was she was the, and people please in the comments correct if I'm wrong here. She was the head of the company that owned the ship that went
There
into the
was some sort of
bridge.
connection. There was
It
some
was
sort
a
of connection
it
there.
was a straight line
Gotcha.
connection to that.
Gotcha.
You can't ignore that stuff. That's the stuff where I'm like, come on, people. You know,
Right.
obviously it didn't make the main news, but it was an article that was written
It
by
was
a
reported.
journalist. It was reported in the local area of that town. See, some of that stuff gets confined to the local paper in that area.
Right.
It doesn't make
Regional
the
news.
regional
Right.
news. So that was a situation that happened there, but just stuff like that, you know. Um, and now we know what the big talk is, you know. And there's layers to it, G, because you've got the layer of, and I'm talking about this current rap beef. You've got the layer of, oh, just two rappers beefing. What's new? Okay. Then you got the other layer of two rappers beefing. Oh, but they're representing two different sides of that yin and yang, that balancing act. I mean, this is the perfect Hollywood story. You got someone who Kendrick Lamar, a strong, confident, assertive black man, black man, not a,
Compton.
you know, yeah. There's no questioning, you know, him. He was the face of, of the Black Panther, the movie, with the soundtrack and just what he stands for in general, right? And you've got the light skinned Canadian who's half black, half white, also Jewish, who never really struggled much in his life.
Rossi.
The grass he started young in the industry. You know, on top of the game, seen by one side as an emulator, seen by the other side as, hey, you should be lucky somebody like that is in the game because it helps everyone else out. So you've got the perfect storm brewing, um, and just to kind of catch. I mean, I'm sure everybody is aware of it, but if you aren't, Kendrick Lamar and Drake have been sort of throwing subliminals, messaging within their lyrics at each other throughout throughout the year since they really got in the game, um, and it really, at least from our perspective, I'm sure it came to a head way before this, but from the public's consumption side of things, it was when about a month and some change ago, um, Kendrick was featured on a song by Metro Boomin
And he was
and
responding to
Future.
the first person shooter song with Cole and Drake.
Well, really, actually, you're absolutely right, G. I apologize. Let me back up because this really stemmed from first person shooter. Now, what we've learned is that the the plan was for all three of them to be on first person shooter. G, I don't know if you knew that. And obviously, Kendrick wasn't about that. And that really is what started it because then Drake and Cole did the song by themselves, and there was some jabs thrown out there. As we all know, after that, like that drop, with Metro Boomin, Future, Kendrick. Kendrick has some words to say. That was around the same time J. Cole was about to drop something. And J. Cole didn't really like how that went down and wanted to throw his name in the hat of responding back, and he did so. Um, right after that, and gee, this is where it gets interesting at. I don't know if J. Cole caught wind of some information. Um, the streets,
I heard today that Schoolboy Q
I was just
advised
about to
him to
say
get.
the streets are talking, and they said, "Yep, Schoolboy Q's kind of warned him." Um, whatever it was that Schoolboy told him, which I'm sure is probably similar to what we heard in Meet the Grams from
Well,
Kendrick.
I
We'll
still
get to
stand by TDE and Dreamville had
had that, but that bond, that relationship.
well, and I think they even planned it out to a degree. I was every detail of the whole thing planned out, but I think up to the point of Cole deleting the diss. I mean, it was called Might Delete Later.
Yeah,
In my opinion, the diss track was probably the worst track on uh the album. It was a great
but
album.
it was the
That's
worst
one thing
track.
that's being overlooked.
It was the worst track on the album because Cole didn't really want to do it. It
Yeah,
wasn't.
his
It was
heart
hard to
wasn't in
do
it.
it. Yeah, he
Right.
didn't really. He didn't believe what he was writing. He was just trying to do what you got to do when you dissing somebody. You got to
Right.
come at and he listened to himself and he was like, "What is this?"
But
So
even all of that seems like there was a handshake between, because even like with Absol and Daylight being on the Pie
yeah,
song,
I
it
know.
seems like there's some sort of handshake deal between Dreamville and TDE long ago. I mean, even going back to that song with Reason and Cause, and
Yeah,
there's that
yeah,
bar
because
where
they
he's
was
like,
throwing shots at each other too.
you
Yeah,
go rob Punch and I'll go rob Cole," and they're like, "What?"
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's like
No, you're
there's
right,
always
G.
been this like
But
purposeful
I
inter battle within TDE and Dreamville.
I don't know that any. And when I
Now I
say
don't know
any,
about Drake.
I don't.
That's where
Yeah,
things started to fall off the rails for me, because again, it could all just be a big distraction and planned by the music industry. They're both signed to Universal, and I'm always gonna think about things from that angle.
me
But
too. But you're absolutely right. Just
there
like the
seems to
MGK
be
Eminem
more of a
situation.
there does seem to be more of a genuine
Yes,
dislike,
and you know
to
what
put it
proof?
mildly.
Because G, you can ask anybody, you can ask all the homies. You know that I was saying the same thing too, and I thought it was low key genius. But when I realized something was different here, when Kendrick dropped "Meet the Grams,"
Yeah, that one was
that's
personal.
that's when I was like, oh. First of all, I got chills. I only get chills when I got chills when I heard that.
It is. I mean, okay,
Chills.
because then there's the angle of this, right? So even if you look at it from it's all a distraction, they're in cahoots, blah blah blah. That just doesn't fit.
No,
That song doesn't really fit that, because like, what's the
no.
purpose of getting that personal if it's just all about
Which is
cahoots?
why
And
I was right there with you all the way through up until Meet the Grams drop. That's when, first of all, it was so impactful. It made it was so polarizing to most
and he
people.
dropped it what, minutes after Family Matters by
So that first of
he
all,
was like waiting
I
for.
never thought that Drake was going to get. I knew he was going to get out rapped by Kendrick. I never thought that he would get out strategized. I'm not going to lie. And maybe that's me sleeping on Kendrick and Top's ability to play chess. Hey, that's on me, maybe because they're so low key. You know what I mean? Maybe that's on me to 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 um to think that Drake was the master strategist here. But nah, man. G. Let me tell you, brother. When he dropped when Drake thought he had him in the scope, and he said in his bar too. Now you in the scope, which Drake listen. Drake got some witty bars too, you know. Um, and this isn't a me shitting on Drake thing. You can ask the homies too. I told everybody Drake will be a formidable opponent. Not only will Drake be a formidable opponent, he may actually outwit Kendrick from the perspective of strategy. But oh boy, were we wrong. Now listen, I preference all of this because this might get dated. Drake may got something up his sleeve, but I don't think so. After he dropped the Hard Part 6, and to be honest, I think he emptied the clip on the one big song he dropped, the
Family Matters.
Family Matters track. The the ability of Kendrick to get information from somewhere. Now they say it's a mole, right? Now, Drake will have you believe that he fed Kendrick that fake information about the 11-year-old daughter. Drake. If you fed Kendrick that information, who told him that you was going to drop Family Matters? Who would have told him that? Now, maybe the Universal thing, they was like, yo, we gonna flick him a crumb here. That's gonna start some shit. We can maybe but again, this is now after Meet the Grams has already been written. So it's he jumped on Drake's ass after he dropped that, And it's about what he's saying, how he's saying it, the wittiness in it. Then he turns around and drops a club banger because everyone's like, "Oh, you can do all that rapping shit, but you can't make nothing that's gonna play." And I just feel like I literally watched a complete shift right in front of me in a span of 48 hours, Because this was, mind you, this was all happening in real time while I'm watching the streamers do their streaming thing, and I couldn't believe what was happening. And when you listen to it, now this is where we're going to really sink back into what we more our path, right? When I listen to Meet the Grams, I noticed something. The first thing I noticed was, wow, everyone is talking about everything except the most polarizing verse on the whole song.
The
Weird?
Adonis verse?
No. You know what the most polarizing verse on that song is.
They're all.
They all are, but the one that really started to talk about the trafficking thing, the Tinder thing. Do you understand what Kendrick was doing in that song? He's talking about the symbols and the terms that I know, that people who study this stuff know about. So I'm listening to it and I hear things where I'm like, yo, no, 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 no. I don't think they signed up to do this. If they're all in on the distraction, I don't think this was part of it. This was different. And Kendrick said as such by saying, hey man, we was gonna keep it all rap until you mentioned my family. And I just think the first thing that popped in my head when I heard that Meet the Grams was, why am I surprised? We're dealing with someone who literally hangs out with Ab Soul. Do you Meet the Grams? The content of what he is talking about is equivalent to Control System minus that stuff. If you add that stuff in the Control System is that at a more grande scale. Because Ab-Soul covered the whole Kit Kang and Caboodle. Kendrick honed in on one specific thing because maybe the roles of these people that he's talking about is to do that one specific thing. So he's focused on that one specific thing. Not to mention, let's be real, Drake didn't do a good job of not giving people things to run with over the years, with some of the videos that have been out there and some of the things that he have said and have alluded to in his music. And then the whole case with Baca, who is on his team, having the trafficking thing happen, so and now the question becomes from our perspective, because these are the worlds that a lot of the people that we listen to sometimes go down. I listen to sometimes go down. They're talking about this stuff that's happening. They're showing you different things about the stuff that's happened. Certain programs that are put in place to keep this bit lucrative business for people alive, right? For certain powers that be alive. Now the question is, where is this going next? Because we've already seen now people's houses are starting to get shot up. Things are starting to get exposed. This is now actually not just so quickly have we gone from rap battle and talking about some who can rap best to whoa. Cat Williams said it, bro. And we're already seeing within the first 2 quarters of the year it start to happen. Distraction or not, G, you can be distracting us from whatever and still have truth in plain sight, you know? So it's going to be interesting to see where all this goes. I just don't think people, and I want to circle back to this, G, and I have to say this. People are so excited, and I get it, and caught up. This is the biggest beef since Biggie and Pac, and they're so, I mean, since Jay and Nas and Biggie and Pac, and they're so caught up in the excitement of this that I think they're missing some of the nuggets that one side is dropping. Because I want people to understand, as much as I love both of these artists, and I don't even know if I can really say that anymore, but as much as I love both of the artwork from these artists, we do know, and I do think that Drake tells his truths. I think he tells his truths to a fault. Some of the lines that I know in some of his songs are alluding to certain things that I'm like, bro, why would you even put that in there? Somebody like you're just. It's almost like I don't understand that concept of it. I think Kendrick kind of mentioned it too. It's like you want to be accepted so bad, or you want to create this certain image so bad that you're willing to even tell on yourself sometimes. Um, but where is this about to lead? And you said it, G. It's like, hey, if nothing comes from this, I think I saw real time on here. It looks like Drake is already having a sit down about this. So he's already kind of conceded the battle. You're not gonna you're not gonna go into a rap beef and then drop the song that you just dropped, which is basically kind of saying, no, 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 it wasn't me. You know, I didn't do it. I'm too big, I'm too powerful to be mixed in that kind of stuff. What? First of all, terrible line. Most of the big powerful people are mixed in that stuff. What are you talking about? And they're going down for it. Um, and maybe that brings up another point. Maybe they're not, and they're just being used to shield from who really is a part of it. Regardless, though, this is the world that
Something's
they have
definitely afoot.
afoot, and this is the world that they've decided to play in. So, unfortunately, that's what happens. Um, I see right here, 7 minutes ago, rumors of the Drake and Kendrick Lamar beef are ending due to UMG's request. Um, from UMG itself, from an insider at UMG, PG Lang and EXO, as of yesterday, were asked by Universal Music Group to end the beef with OVO and Drake. Kendrick apparently isn't budging at all, but UMG is pressing hard on their request to squash the beef. UMG also had a Zoom meeting with all of the parties involved, and they want Kendrick either to directly or say it through PG Lang to post a statement clarifying that Drake isn't a pedophile, a PDF file, if Kendrick agrees to end the beef. Drake is losing the beef in UMG's eyes. So UMG's perspective, the sooner the beef ends, the better. The PDF philias, accusations directed at Drake are costing UMG, Nike, and other parties a lot of money. That is from
Interesting.
some at UMG. Now, the problem is whether it's ended verbally or not, and all the fun is done with the beef. There's too many cans of worms now that have been opened.
Mm.
Baka's case is still open. Drake's house just got shot up. Weekend's house just got shot up. Things has gotten really personal because Drake is on a behind the scenes mission to prove that Kendrick's son is really Dave Free's son. Um, Kendrick has done enough damage on Drake. All that shit is out there, and everyone's already doing their own homework on Drake shit. So, Garnet, I, I'm gonna say this. I knew that something was afoot when Drake signed his new deal after the Scorpion album, after his double album. He signed his new deal. excited to get his new workout, new music coming, just looking for a new home, new deal. He got his deal. First project, he did the Dumo Lane tapes. Okay, cool. Actually, I think that was still part of the deal, the old deal. When he came out with CLB, with all the girls, the album cover with all the girls and the pregnancies, and part of his rollout for that album was the heart symbol cutting his hair. That's when I said, "Oh, Drake." And the fan in me didn't want to get wrapped up in that because I just, like I said, I I I love the artists. Some of these artists I grew up with, man, they grew up with us. It's like I know Drake got his ways, but I didn't want to see that, man. You know, and then a lot of other stuff that obviously is already out there. It is what it is. I'm not going to focus on that right now. The thing is that it's about what's about to happen in their world now, because all that just happened over the course of the past month, more specifically the past week, is making things really hairy in their world. Do you understand how impactful? Do you understand what Kendrick said on that song? Hey, James, keep the family away. He said, Curry, keep the family away. He's talking to these megastars and telling them directly, stay away. You
Mm.
don't want to be caught up in what's coming. Do
Yeah,
you
no, I did
understand?
read something about that, and it's like after that, regardless
You
of
got to
if it's
move
true or
different.
not,
Exactly.
LeBron and Stephen Curry,
They're going to be scared.
they're not going
Exactly.
to be want to be seen with
And
Drake
no,
until the allegations get proven one way or the other.
or the other.
Because Kendrick said it, and Kendrick's a superstar too.
Kendrick's not only said it and he's the superstar, he's the one that's not, he's the one that if he's saying something, you're going to at least not brush it off and you're going to sit back and see how things play out. Because you think the conversation amongst their little tight knit circle isn't, hey man, hey man, you been hearing anything about? I don't know. Niggas thinking gee, people's homes are getting shot at now. You know what happens after that? You know what usually happens when shit like this is happening? Phones start getting tapped. People start getting followed and watched throughout people's camps. This is it doesn't matter what happens with the music anymore now. There's something else that's starting to, and it might already happen. I mean, Kendrick just warned us, so it might already be coming anyway. But my point is, if it wasn't, you can't tell me that. Listen, people keep thinking that people like Cat Williams and Kendrick Lamar and these people who at least to me work in the light aren't talking about shit that they know and that is happening. Our people in our world get proven right too much for people to continue to walk around making everything a goddamn joke. That's what's wrong with society now. Making everything a joke or just
Conspiracy theory, yeah, blah 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 blah.
conspiracy theory, allegations, lies, prove it, source, all these buzzwords that who's your source. I'm not saying that those things don't
And then the
matter.
only sources that they trust are the sources that are spewing all of
The
the
narrative
garbage.
that they want to subscribe to.
Right.
So if it doesn't fit your comfortable narrative, well, then it's got to be bullshit, right? The more that I think about it, it's not like Kendrick didn't warn about, a lot of this stuff. But at the same token, it is TDE. Like, oh no, I remember what I was saying. Now I was saying something about how could I not expect it? I should have expected it because this is the same guy that hangs out with Absol. Absol is actually in this dude's crew. Absol is really what I think everybody. I mean, after this past weekend, I mean Kendrick is that dude for real. Well, we already knew that. But Absol is the assassin, and I think that there was just something added to this that just really reminded me of like this was like control system, but with that other little piece added to it. And it's going to be interesting to see where this goes because, like I said, damage has been done. You got Drake really in his there's no way Drake ain't in his feelings. He got to come out and make statements. Um, I mean, the hard part six, which is what Drake response was, you can't. He didn't even respond to nothing. You know what it was? It was a PR campaign because now what the focus is how can I make UMG
Damage
and
control.
damage control. It's not even about beef anymore because now you've got your business partner saying, "What, bro? What is this?" So Kendrick don't give a fuck. He can jump out the window. He ain't really got shit to lose because Kendrick is not caught up in that stuff where if it was taken away, he could give a fuck less. You know, um, Drake's got a lot to lose, and that's another thing. But I also know that as petty as he is, and then this weekend thing with his weekend's manager shooting and that whole thing, boy.
What happened
I
there?
so apparently I'm trying to remember which one happened first. I think it was that Drake's team. No, Cash XO, who is the Weeknd's manager, because Weeknd is part of this beef too. A lot of people are beefing with Drake right now, like half the industry. I feel. Drake and Weeknd always had a little thing because they were supposed to. Drake back in the day was supposed to sign Weeknd, and I think Weeknd kind of knew early he was the dude. He was that dude in his own way, and bet on himself, which more artists need to do. Because anyway, bet on himself, and his manager is this guy called Cash XO. Because Weeknd's team is called like XO. Remember how they used to do the whole OVO XO thing? Yeah. So um apparently I'm trying to remember which happened first. Somebody shot so Cash XO's house either got shot first mansion or it was Drake's. One of the two happened for I don't have it real time in front of me at the moment, but earlier last so right now it's 10, so that would have been earlier this morning at 2 a.m. Drake's house got shot up. And his security guard um shot got shot and hit up. So
Mm,
now it's the
getting real.
combination of what Kendrick was saying and the combination of this stuff happening within Canada, because now I guess the Canadians got some beef in there now. I think this shit getting real for Drake real quick, with a lot of this stuff, and it's got to be very interesting for him because you're talking about somebody who's really chasing records. He's already broken many of them, but he's still chasing some other ones, and who's been at the top for a long time. We've never seen a rapper be at the top for this long. And It's just a lot happening around him right now. And I think he needs to do an audit of his circle. I think he needs to do an audit of how he moving. I don't know how deep his personal rabbit hole runs with a lot of what Kendrick's talking about, but I can tell you one thing. Um, I don't think he's just talking out his neck. I don't. And only time
It's
will tell.
interesting.
And
It's
only time will
interesting. Yeah.
tell with a lot of this stuff. Yeah, but it is interesting. It was very exciting at first, and it still is. But I just think now it's gotten Kendrick really did take it where, to be honest, it was so funny. Having these conversations with different people about it. My question as early as like a week ago, 2 weeks ago, has always been throughout this whole thing. Okay, when is this? Who's going to hit the nuke? Because nobody just beefs back and forth forever. At some point, something's got to end it. What's going to end it? And I feel that Kendrick taking it where he took it to
Ended it.
is forcing the labels to now. And I knew this was going to happen because you're dealing with people like Jay Prince, Birdman. You're dealing with Top Dog. You're dealing with people that are plugged into the machines. So I knew that these phone calls was going to start when things started to get a little dicey. Now I didn't know how dicey, but that has been my question. My question has been, okay, Drake, you showed us Kendrick show. I thought Kendrick had showed us his hand. Drake showed us his hand, and then showed us his hand again, and then he showed us his hand again, and then it's like, okay, we're talking about the wives, we're talking about the can't make hits or who gave number one, and we're talking about all the surface level stuff that we expected those two to to banter about. But like I said, when that Meet the Grams hit, that's what made me say, "Oh, wow,
Yeah,
wow, okay, maybe this isn't what I thought it was. Maybe this is some shit
fabricated.
that, yeah, maybe this is some shit that just Kendrick know, and him being the man that he is, forced his hand, and he don't give a fuck. Well, what is he
Mm.
gonna lose? He don't got no deals with. I mean, he got deals, but he ain't.
Distribution deals is a little
Yeah,
different.
yeah, exactly, exactly. So, um, it's gonna be interesting to see what UMG do about it, and it's gonna be interesting, bro. Drake on here now doing sit down convos and stuff. It's like, well, we know you lost the battle now, so it's
Soul is
just
the one though.
the hard part
Soul
six,
is
man.
the one.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, I
so
honestly haven't even listened to that yet.
to me, it was a white flag being waved in combination with
Damage control.
damage control and PR. That's what that was. It was a couple things. It was a couple things in there, but it won't. Listen, you don't have the level of shit that Kendrick has now spewed on you.
Right.
And he did it
Right.
in such a craftful. No wonder this guy won the Pulitzer Award, G. He did it in such a craftful way. I mean,
The timing was
the
impeccable.
timing was impeccable. The way that there's humor added in there with the whole freaky ass nigga, you a 60 ass god, and then the whole OB ho, and just the way he just sliced this man every fabric of his being and Meet the Grams, the way that he dissected this man's. I mean, I've just never seen nothing like that before, bro. What Kendrick did with those two specifically, though, because don't get it twisted, Euphoria is the shit too. But what he did in Meet the Grams and then Not Like Us, it just was people are gonna be singing that song in the club the whole summer, G. They're gonna be calling Drake a pedophile the whole summer, even if they don't want to, just from singing along with the song. And you know how music works, G, right? It's in your head. You it'll be 5 months from now, and something will trigger that melody and that part of the song to be in my head, and it's just going to make me call him that. The strategy, G, was masterful. You turned the whole culture against Drake. Even Drake's fans that are defending and fighting for him, it's like, what do you, every time you try to defend him,
So
all the other person got to say is one thing. So you defending the pedophile? A PDF file, I should say. So you defending a PDF file? Hmm? OB-ho. There's you defending a freaky ass nigga, 69 guy. Like you can you. There's so many things that he just created for people to take out into the battle with them against their fans. It was genius.
yeah. So I guess to take this one level deeper, as I always try to do,
Ain't
what
nothing
is
wrong with
this?
that, huh? Oh,
What is this? I was gonna say, what is this distracting us from? But if it's not a fabricated distraction, then is this really what
it's a
is
spiritual
this
orgy.
a good idea to focus on this, or should we? I don't know.
Well, I'm not going to
You're
lie.
not a
First and
rap fan. You're not
foremost,
gonna
it's first and
care.
foremost, it's hard. Yeah, rap fans are going to be ingratiated in it. I could know it's a distraction, and I'm still going to be tuned in. Do you understand that this shit for the whole weekend had me sitting watching DJ Academic stream? One of Academic streams was a 10-hour stream. And he finding his information with his streamers typing something. I'm looking at the TV. I'm like, oh shit, okay. Then I'm looking at my world and I'm doing this. I was plugged in, so they got me. I mean, what if that's the case? I love rap, you know. Come on, that you know that there was not going to be any way on earth that I wasn't tuned into this,
But do you all right, so
especially
let me just say this. Do you think there's gonna be any sort of official I mean, obviously, the camps are gonna do what the camps are gonna do, but do you think there's gonna be any government level investigations into any of these claims?
no.
I
They're
don't
not
think
going to
so either.
treat. They're not going to treat Drake like Diddy. First of all, Drake is a Jew. First of all, second of
Oof.
all, he's plugged. He's I know that's you can't say that anymore. That's anti-Semitic just to say someone is a Jew. But last time I checked, he was Jewish, so he's a Jew, right? Okay. Anyway, um, there is he's very plugged in. Again, I don't know because now, gee, this is what makes it interesting. You're going to start to have um you're starting to have things happen amongst their camps now that may bring other forces into, like I said, tapping phones and following and doing the shit that they do when they building cases.
Right.
So, but all I know is you dealing with people, you dealing with someone who's very plugged in right now. Now, of course, this is also why this campaign's about to start to protect his name and image, because his name and image
It's worth a lot of money.
is worth a lot of money. Drake, the name Drake is a entity.
Mhm.
So I can tell you one thing. If you start seeing these deals fall, until then, I don't believe that it will be. Listen, they blowing smoke up Diddy's ass, and they not even gonna do nothing with Diddy. So if you ain't gonna do nothing with Diddy, you ain't doing nothing with Drake. Because
Yeah.
I think Diddy has done a lot more for the people that he worked for, and he still had to fall on the throne. But don't get it twisted. The people that these guys work for also don't like niggas when they start to get sloppy. If you start bringing heat on them because of you being sloppy, you start. One of the things Kendrick was saying about Drake was, he bad with his money. He on these pills. He doing this. So if he's starting to get sloppy, this could also be the powers that be being like feeding certain people information because they want him to wake them up a little bit. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? It
Right.
could be that involved too. We don't know what Drake has been on top for a long time. He could really be feeling himself. He could really be getting sloppy. He could be really, who knows? Call some people. You know how it go, man.
Mhm.
We all know a one movie or one show where we watch a character start to get a little sloppy because he got on the stuff or whatever. Getting lost in all the ass that's out here. We know Drake love girls, love women. Um, anyway, um, I'm not here to get into the whole whether it's real or not. I think all that shit gonna come to the surface in time if that's the case.
Mhm.
I tell you one thing though, regardless of what I personally think, I think anybody can read between the lines on what side of this I'm really or how I look at things.
Something is definitely afoot.
Something's afoot. I told you when Drake came out with that symbol in his hair, I said I already know the whole throwing the one eye up and all. We already know. And the owl, that's a given. I'm not that's not even. I already know. Okay, I get it, Drake. Fine, whatever. You plugged in, bruh. I know. Now the other stuff, though, So when I started seeing that, I was like, well, if you are plugged into the owl and some of these other things, I mean, that kind of all is associated in the same thing. So I mean, I should have kind of known that, but I think sometimes, I'm human too, G, right? Like even I will sometimes turn an eye to these folks that I like. fuck with low key. I won't turn her out of everything. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying, unless something is just out there, I might just be like, keep making good music, bro. I ain't, whatever you do in your off time, just make sure I don't find out about it. That's, so we're all human. So, I mean, it happens, but I don't know, G. He might have started moving sloppy, and I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I
No, I
don't
think
know. But more and
time
more
will
will
tell.
continue. Yes, that's what I'm saying. More and more will continue to come out. So
But if nothing really happens and it kind of gets swept under the rug and it's another one of these bridge incidents or Boeing whistleblower getting killed, then that's when we know that it was fabricated. And
but that doesn't mean that what was being said is fabricated. Just because there's a way, just because the machine comes together to find a way to get him out of this, that doesn't mean that everything that Kendrick has done, or that many other light workers that are doing out here, is just all of a sudden fabricated. It could be fabricated from the perspective of, is anything going to come from this? That has nothing to do with the fact that somebody still stood 10 toes down in what they know and told it.
we'll see.
We
We'll
shall.
see.
That's
We'll
what makes
see.
it so interesting. But it was a
Yeah.